Hey, this is Matt Duke, episode 2 of our podcast here. I'm with Jeremiah Burns at PB&J with Tay, and I'm going to tell you this is an exciting interview we're going to have. I've already previewed it, and I think you're just going to be blown away with what Jeremiah has to say here. And now that I've pumped you all up.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I got the name right, PB&J with Tay. Let's start with that just at the very beginning. You were telling me, where'd the name come from?
So I've grown up on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for years, and I turned to my wife one day. It literally was, "Hey, what do you think about a peanut butter and jelly restaurant? PB&J with Tay. It rhymes with your name, our daughter's name." I throw out these random ideas all the time. So to her, it was just another crazy thing I was thinking about. And she was like, "You're crazy, whatever." She blew it off. About 2 weeks later, she called me and she's like, "Hey, I was looking around the nation, and there's like 3 or 4 of these shops. And I think I told you yesterday when we met for coffee." The moment she said that, my heart was in my throat, and I was like, "This is for me." I'm a firm believer of just following those moments that you know are truly for you. And when it sits in my throat like that, I couldn't let it go. And from that point on, it became this obsession of how I was going to open San Antonio's first peanut butter and jelly shop.
So what is amazing, and you have to be in this shop to experience it. And we weren't yesterday, and I had not been here, even though I've seen all the pictures.
Yeah.
But you had a vision, right? And man, this is the vision. Like, you walk in and I know exactly what your vision was because you get to experience it.
Yeah.
But let's go all the way back, because that's where like how you like the journey to even get to that point, man, is just inspiring as can be. So walk me all the way back to those critical moments where you were an employee and then now you're an entrepreneur.
We could take this really far back, but we'll stick to where I found a transition in my life and started to fall off the path of who I really was, right? To be able to know when something is for me. And you know, like most people in our 20s, we're in college, we're having fun. We celebrate things when there's really nothing to celebrate, right? And I did it a lot with alcohol. I did, and if this is where you're going with that,
That's where I'm going.
I don't mind sharing it all. So I finished my master's in 2006, but with my college journey came a lot of drinking, anxiety, always trying to be a part of the mix, right? And when most people transition out of college, they go into the house and the family, and they stop this partying and drinking thing. I wouldn't really say I was a big partier, but the drinking was a big facet of my life. I bartended on weekends, and once I got out of college, I started working for a local hospital, and I could say the name.
Say the name.
Yeah, man. Methodist Hospital, man. I was with them for 11 years. Their family, I understood their vision, and it was a huge learning experience coming right out of college. But it was a corporate world, right?
Yeah.
And with that comes a lot of stressors. The daily grind, and really wondering if this is where you're supposed to go. And it was easy for me to get off of work and go and have a drink. I bartended. I was in the game. I bartended on weekends. So I would leave work and I would go have drinks. And then somewhere along the lines, man, the fun kind of blurs, and you start recognizing you can't stop this. And why, right? And as the years started going by, I looked up, and I'm 29, 30 years old. And hands down, drinking a bottle of vodka a day, I was good at it. But you would never have known. I was fully functioning. I owned my own house at 24. I had 2 jobs, paying bills. I looked successful. And quite frankly, when I quit drinking, most people were like, "I didn't even know you drank that much."
Well, you and I crossed paths, because we've crossed paths a couple of times, right? We crossed paths at the Word in college.
Yeah.
Then we crossed paths at Methodist.
Yeah.
I would have never known.
Never known.
In either of those circumstances, right? There was no difference in my, in both those places.
And I always say this, when you have an issue that you're dealing with like this, whether it's an addiction or something like that, you're always still you, but there's something that's lacking internally, right?
Right.
You're always still who you are. People see you as a loving, kind, and caring person, even though you're going through this struggle. And it's nice to know, looking back, that people still saw me for me, right?
Right.
Even though I knew I wasn't the complete person I was supposed to be in, right? So come 29, 30 years old, man, it got to a point where I was waking up in the morning and shaking. It got to a point where I needed it more than I had the time to do, right?
Wow.
And I was lost. And it was every morning, I'm hungover, I'm never doing that again. 5 p.m., I'm drinking.
Right.
I'm hungover, I'm doing that again. Never doing that again, dear God, drinking again. And then and then the reality check hit. How do I stop this? And there was a point in which I had to come to grips with, you're an all or nothing kind of person, so it has to be none. And I remember that day, so I go to my boss, I need some time off, I'm going to quit this. Checking in with some medical people, I've realized that you can have some really adverse side effects if you cut cold turkey, because that was my goal. And I decided to go to my boss and let him know I was going to check into the same place. Now, talk about a humbling experience, to the same place that you worked at, that's the same place you fix computers and phones at.
Right.
Now you're going to go and tell them you need help, right? So I checked in, and for 5 to 7 days, man, I shook coming off of alcohol. Now, the day I left and the day I went into this detox, I remember holding a bottle of vodka, something so minor as a bottle of vodka, and crying and thinking, I'm never going to be able to drink this again. That's how deep, far, and gone I was. When they say you'll lose yourself in the bottle of a bottle,
Wow.
that's where I was, man. And I'm like, man. So I checked in, and for 5 days I shook, and chills and aches and pains. And you're calling your parents and you're saying, how did I get here? How did I get here?
Yeah.
And what am I doing here? Knowing you have a beautiful house and family and friends, but why? Why am I here? So I get out, and the doctors are like, you need to change your life completely. Make sure that what you do is something totally different. And in my head, I'm like, but I make such good money bartending. Why am I going to quit bartending? And you'll never find a doctor.
So you went back to bartending?
And so you'll never find a doctor that will ever say this is a good idea. And I'm going to tell you, you have to be strong to do this.
Okay.
Within a week out of the hospital, I decided I'm not going to change my life. I'm going to face this demon head on. And if I can get it at a grocery store, at a gas station, at a restaurant, if I can buy it and drink it at my house, why change what I'm doing just because it's in front of me and I serve it to people?
Wow.
And at first it was hard because I was on the fence. Are you ever going to drink again, Jeremiah? Right? That little devil creeps in. Are you ever going to do it again?
Yeah.
So the first month was like going in shaking, going like, are you going to take a shot? Are people going to ask you, what are you going to do? But something changes over time. And a year goes by, 2 years go by. I had bartending friends. When you'd ask me can I buy you a shot? They'd say, no, he doesn't drink. And I'd be like, yeah, I don't drink. And I started just slowly rewiring my brain and understanding that if I say what I do not do and people around me hear me for what I am, I will not drink. So a year goes by, right? And I'm sober. And this is when it gets really tricky, because the devil will change. And it does, that's how you know it's him, because addiction is addiction is addiction. And I don't care if it's sugar, if it's alcohol, if it's pills, or if it's a medication a doctor gave you.
Right.
So a year goes by, and this energy I have inside of me, I don't know what to do with. And I go to my PCP, and I'm like, hey, doc, like, I'm super anxious. I'm super overwhelmed. Of course you are, man. You just quit drinking, right? You go to work every day around alcohol. You're trying to figure out your life. I mean, I couldn't run enough miles to get this energy out of me of like trying to search for who I am.
Right.
Unfortunately, I listened to the doctor's advice, and he put me on a medication called Klonopin. Klonopin falls in the same drug as Xanax, benzodiazepines, and these create the same chemical reaction in your body as alcohol. That's on me to know, right? Not my doctor, but he's going to hand these to me. So I start taking them. And
well, actually, it is a little bit on your doctor.
Yeah, cool.
But that was nice of you to say.
Yeah, no doubt. So I started taking this medication, and instantly it was euphoric again, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's just in a pill form.
Yep.
Fast forward about a year later, and I break my collarbone in soccer. Go to the ER. They get me on Vicodin, and now it's this double whammy of like, what is this?
Yeah.
And that led me to my first relapse. And in my head, it was, I don't drink alcohol. I'm good. I'm not an alcoholic. We're good.
But then I got these pills.
But then I have this bottle. Yeah. And let me just say, man, it's not embarrassing, but humbling to know where I stand now. Now, I'm 8 to 10 years removed, and it's for me to talk about it like this. It's because I'm so far away from it.
Right.
It's not me anymore. It no longer affects me. It no longer plays that game in my life. But I chased $500 a week in pills on the streets
Wow.
and Vicodin.
Yeah.
I was taking 10 Vicodin a day, 3 Xanax, aka Klonopin, whatever you want to call it. And at that point, I was drinking a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper and a can of snuff, nicotine every day. And that is when...
Which it's amazing your heart didn't explode, brother.
I looked like I was about to explode.
I mean,
it's awful. I look back at pictures, yeah. And looking back, I have to tell you, I believe I died a few times in that range. I would wake up, moments of just like, okay, I'm still here, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that would level me off from the high from the night before was just to take another one. I still did this fully functioning, working at a hospital, having 2 jobs, having a house,
Right.
friends, you know, and no legal issues, none of it. And so I checked all the boxes. No addict. I'm not an addict, right?
Right.
No legal issues. I still have great friends. I still have relationships. Everything's good. I got a career. I haven't lost my job.
Yep.
Right? But at any point,
Yep.
mind you, I was pulled over every year drunk and let go.
Wow.
By the grace of God. I'm not bragging.
Right.
By the grace of God, I did not go to jail.
Right.
I did not have a DWI under my record. And I did not have... We talked about it yesterday. Like, the fact that I got out of it is mind blowing.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't, right? And so this time was 2 years. It wasn't a 6-year stint of drinking. This time happened really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working at Methodist Specialty and Transplant. They had a psych unit. And I went to my boss, literally in tears, just saying, hey, man, because I admire this man so much. He was so good to me. And I said, I need to get off this medication, and it's just going to happen on Wednesday. So he's like, okay.
Wow.
And I went to the ER director and I said, look, here's my situation. I'm not proud of it, but I need a room upstairs. I've been here before. I'm going to be here on Wednesday morning, and I'm going to check in, right?
Yeah.
And sorry, man. And yeah, I showed up on Wednesday morning. And again, I was like, here I am. And you know, through it all, I never, ever forgot my mom praying over me as a child. I remember I was awake and she would say, please don't let him be an addict. Please don't let him be an alcoholic. It runs in my family, right?
Yeah.
From my biological father to you know, it's just, we are reachers. I call it reaching for things when things go wrong. And so now the second time I'm in there going like, what am I doing? This is not me. This is not my heart. I'm a loving, caring, passionate person who wants to live. And I got to call my mom again and be like, I messed up again. And those moments that I don't go back to often, so please forgive me.
No, you're good.
Those moments are when you find who you are.
Yep.
And you find the absolute truth. And what I mean by that is I'm sitting in a hospital. In my head, I'm saying, I'm not taking nothing from you, doctors. I've been there. You were the one who got me here. It was my fault.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be tricked again. And you have these doctors saying, well, take this one. It's called something else. They literally asked me, why are you doing this? You don't have to be hurting right now. You can take this med. Right. And in my head, I'm like, no. Yeah. I don't want to be back here again, right? If I take that, then I'll be back here for something else, right? And by all means, I'm not discrediting doctors for what they do, right? There are people that may need this, may not, and that's your journey. But you know, through it all, I'll tell you the one person that sticks out through 7 days of literally shaking, coming, and I don't care if it's in a pill form or in your arm. 10 Vicodin a day is heroin. Yeah. 3 Xanax a day is alcohol, a bottle of vodka. Right. And the one person that got me through that, dear God, don't let me wake up, was Linda Perkins, the lady at the desk who sat down next to me and held my hand in the middle of the night when I said, I don't want to live anymore. Wow. And she said, I'm here for you. Let me just pray. Heavyset black lady. Man, I love that lady. I try to find her all the time. And if one of y'all can find her at Methodist, don't
Hey, we're gonna find her.
please, man.
No,
and I think she don't work there no more. I think something
That's
might
okay,
have happened to her because she was older and had some like pain issues and stuff. If you can find her, man, I need to find her. It's been years.
We're
man.
gonna fire.
So somebody find it.
But I want to pause you for a second because, like, we didn't, hearing this again. Look, here's what I was seeing too is. So again, I've known you for a long time, right? And we both have a journey, and we've got that, the darkness that we had to go through. But look at yours, because I find the blessings. I look a lot back at the blessings around. You went to Methodist healthcare system, which I'm biased, their family, right? I mean, when you talk about
I agree.
the values of them and the family and the fact that they're Christ-centered and you feel it. I mean, you really do. So number one, you and I both landed in a place during our darkest time like that. So there's a blessing.
Huge.
And then you moved to Methodist Hospital, where you're connected, but within one step away, and being able to know that you can trust that love that's there to take yourself in.
To stand next to your boss and say, here I am.
And to feel accepted enough that you can say that on the most difficult. I mean, I can only imagine. I can only imagine how difficult that is.
Yeah.
Then to go back through it yet again, and then to move to specialty and transplant, which for people that don't know, specialty and transplant from a cancer care, transplant, and also to take care of mental well-being. That's the place to be in the entire South Texas. You're literally right there. It's like God had you and said, when you're ready, Maya.
Absolutely.
It's right here.
Absolutely.
It's right here.
I never looked at it like that because I looked at it as my career.
Yeah.
And I didn't like IT, man. I was there for 11 years and it just wasn't my passion. But seeing it in that, and not to mention that once I got out, they saw my value and promoted me. It wasn't like, I hear you, man.
And so then you make that, and then they redeem it back to say, hey, we're not going to judge you for that. We're going to celebrate you. Because here's the thing that comes out of this part of the journey, and I want to get to the entrepreneur part, is passion. I mean, brother, it just oozes off of you. Like, I usually have it too, and I was like, I got to take mine down because my sets a standard. If not, whoever's watching this is going to go, whoa. I mean, I got to go take some, melatonin to watch you guys to take it down a notch. And then the second thing too is, you were a good person. You always were a good person. Yeah. I remember you just happy all the time, right? But that wasn't just enough, because this type of thing, what you've been through, some of the darkness I've been through, people don't see it. Right? It's like tears of a clown. I mean, not that you and I were clowns, right?
Yeah.
But it's tears of a clown, right? You see the outer exterior and it just goes unnoticed. Like it went unnoticed when you and I, we were crossing. I'd have never known that you were functioning.
Me neither. I mean, and I asked about your family too, because I saw pictures. And what do I show online? I'm going to show you the product.
Fake book is fantastic.
I'm going to just show you, here, come have this great sandwich. Why would I show you I'm shaking in a hospital? Like you leave those moments to yourself to fight, to grind through, to get up every day. You have those certain people that were around you that I absolutely give thanks to. Yeah. But nobody's gonna see. They walk in and, oh my gosh, it's a peanut butter jelly shop. This is great. And I'm 2 a.m, I'm over here like a madman, and you don't show those. You don't show it. And as an entrepreneur, we all know that grind on a daily basis is so weary.
So let's get to that, because you're still an employee, right? You just got promoted. Resiliency, the values you've got, the passion, that's where I'm just saying, this story is amazing. How do we get to this? How do we get here?
So I get out, let's just backtrack really quick. So I get out of detox. And at this point, I'm like, I don't trust the world, alcohol. I don't trust doctors, medication. And at this point, I'm like, you don't got another life, right? Because there are moments, and I think I shared that story with you, just like slivers of seconds where my life could have been taken. And I looked back and realized wow, I'm still here. So as I got out, I said, you need to find something that is going to fill this void, right? Because when we pull something away, it has to be filled with something else. And I don't care, Matt. I don't care if you're at your house, if you're in a yoga studio, or if you're at the pew at church. There is only one thing you do, is you hit your knees and say, what am I here for? Yeah. And I found that with Bikram yoga.
Okay.
And there was something that was methodical about it. It was something that was just gritty about it. It's 90 minutes in a 115-degree room that just beats you to the core.
Right.
And as somebody who's like, I guess, a masochist, where I'm just like, beat it out of me until I can find it, right? And I mean, it's the same with
we were athletes, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, we're at the word sweating down in the middle of summer, just drive.
While the coach is like, get up, you think that was hard?
Yeah,
go again, go again, go again,
exactly.
Right? And I've always had that in my family, like, yeah, quit crying, get up, life is hard, grind. My grandmother and my mom, they were German, hard, rough-nosed women who just like, life is tough, that's it, let's go, okay, have a cry, get moving, right?
Yeah.
So I found this in Bikram yoga, and I got obsessed with sitting there every day, staring at myself. And it started with staring at myself and not having any idea what I looked like and who I was. And over a 4-year span, I could literally see the pain and the lies and the frustration and the addiction and the things that I did to myself come out in my face. And every time it did, I was like, whoa, that's what it looks like? That's what I look like. That's what I was hiding behind.
Right.
And when the room would spin, because I had to come to the realization that I was chasing $500 worth of pills every day on the street, standing behind a smile and a lie.
Right.
I had to hit my knees because I didn't have anything to reach but nothing, but myself and that mirror, and holy cow, this is hard, right?
Right.
And every single pain that came out of me, it came out of me in an emotion. It came out of me in my face.
Yeah.
It came out, and I'd hit my knees and go, dear God, don't let that come back in. Fill it with something else, right?
Yeah.
And 4 years later, I say like 2 years into that path, I finally like, this is it, man. I looked at myself and I was like, there you are, dude. There you are. It's good to see you again, right? And there's these 3 paths in which we grapple with. And I got to do it in a 4-year span, but it was like 5 a.m. every single morning going, find what's next, dig deeper, look in your heart. That's not you, let it go. And finally, after I dealt with the pain and the addiction and the suffering, I looked at myself and I was like, oh, you can stand here.
Right.
You're all right, dude. Nothing's gonna spin anymore. You didn't room too much.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. And then when I hit my knees, I would hug myself, dang, and my face was in the floor, and I was just like letting it all out, right? And that lasts for about 6 months. And you're like, okay, cool, man, enough of yourself. It's cool, man, you found yourself, enough. What's next?
Right.
What's next? And then you start looking forward.
Yeah.
And then you go to this yoga class and you're staring yourself in the mirror like, okay, God, what's next? What do you have for me? Now, mind you, people have to do this in a world of chaos with so much fluff around us.
It'd be nice if you could just go to yoga and have it be yoga, walk out,
away, sit at home, handle it, deal. I mean, you're talking about years and years of the 12-step program. You're years and years of a psychologist appointment, years and years. And I'm like, I got to do this in 4 years because I've been wasting time. I know that wasn't for me. How do I do this now?
Right.
Don't trust anyone. Just hit your knees and find out the truth, right?
Yep.
And my truth is never going to be anybody else's, right?
That's right.
But I'll tell you what, if you look back at that book was everybody's truth. And there's something so solid and it never wavers, right?
That's right.
So I woke up one day after, saying like, what's next, God? What's next? And as much as Methodist, thank you for changing my heart on this, Methodist was there for me in this deep, dark time of my need. It wasn't for me.
Sure.
So I started to recognize my passion and love and empathy I had for people in pain, people who are hurting. And what better way to do it than to be able to see what it looked like on my face.
Right.
So when people walk in front of me, I can say, man, I've been there. Let me just put my hand right here and show you how much love you can have if you just break those chains down. If you just break away from all the fluff and the lies that everybody's telling you. There's something behind us all.
Yep.
It sits right behind our eyes. And when I was able to see it come out of me with no filters, no alcohol, no pills, no nothing, but just me, a towel, my knees, and God, I was able to be like, I'm ready to help people now. And I remember I just had my 1-year-old daughter who absolutely changed my life. Like I never knew unconditional love until I had my daughter.
It's
Like
true.
I tell my wife, I joke all the time, like, I'm so sorry. I thought I loved you. I thought I loved you. But like when I hold like this daughter, when I had her, I was like, oh my God, I was so naive to what I truly thought love was.
That's right.
Right. And I held her in church the Sunday before I was going back to work. And I said, God, I don't think Methodist is for me. If that's true, let me know.
Oh, wow.
Right? I'm crying over my daughter going, I got to spend 10 hours a day at this place and I got to miss this right here. I got to see this every day. I need this child. And I got to go and get in traffic at 7 a.m, don't get home till 7 at night. Daddy, don't leave. All these things. I got to do this. I was like, no. And I'm crying over my daughter. And man, in 3 days, I got back to work and they fired me. And that's funny, right? And I was like, all right, you know what? And at first you get kind of like hurt. You're just like, well, you fired me, and then you just walk out. And I took this big breath and I was like, I asked for this. I asked for it. The answer is not always positive, man. It's like get laid off.
You're like, hey, could you ease me into that answer?
Ease me. But that's not me. It's like, all right, I'm gonna shake tomorrow and I'm gonna be off these 4, the biggest drugs you've ever dealt with.
Right.
It's tomorrow. When? Tomorrow. Because I'm done with it, right? And that's what happens, right? He just like rips the Band-Aid off. I walk out and I'm like, okay, now I'm with a 1-month-old and no job, right? So,
but I'll tell you, so like, I was talking to a good friend of mine last night and I was like, there's this song, you've probably never heard it, but I'll tell you to go find it. It's like a country song. It was God Sends a Train.
Yeah.
And it was literally about how like, people just weren't getting what they needed to do. God sends a train literally to change your trajectory.
Quickly.
Right. I've been hit by the train, I think 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it never ends.
I think you have as well, right? But he gets you right back up on the path, right? But sometimes like for you and me, we'd be like, oh, this is tough. I'll just keep grinding.
Yeah.
This is tough. And God's going, no, just go left. And you're like, no, I can keep going right. I'll keep grinding. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to send the train. It'll knock you left.
Yeah. And I tell friends this too, because they always pray and they want the answer to be yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when the answer is no.
It's his answer.
Yes. When the answer is no, that's his answer, right? Turn around because there's the yes.
Yeah.
There's what's supposed to be for you. It was so hard for me to understand because everybody can look at the negative things in our life that happen that truly seem like it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, man.
Well, in the moment, right? We just see what we see.
Oh my God. And then you have friends like, oh my God, you lost your job. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, I can breathe. Like there's the weight that's lifted off of me. So I go home and, chaos for about 3 days. And I'm like, no. It's not going to be chaos, right? Go to Bikram yoga, right? Go to where you find God, right? So I hit my knees and I'm like, what are you good at? Well, I love people. That's not a job. What are you good at? Like, I want to help people with pain. Okay, maybe, right? So you start to develop. And the best part of getting laid off is you get to be on unemployment. So the entire first year, right? The entire first year of my daughter being off, I'm on unemployment. And I'm like hanging out with my daughter. It's the biggest blessing ever. I look back, I'm like, I was around my daughter the entire year growing up. It was so much fun.
A lot of change during that year.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge. So, and that's why she's such a daddy's girl, man. She's such a daddy's girl. But I was like, what is the quickest way to tell people you care, but to just put your hands on them and say like, hey man, like I care about you, right? So I was like, what's this massage therapy thing about? Now, mind you, I got laid off and I have the 11 years experience in IT now. I have a master's degree. I have a great resume. And I had people come to me like, come work for me. And I'm like, no. That's not for me. And they're like, what? Like, I'll pay you 6 figures. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I've been paid like $40,000 a year. Maybe I should be $40,000 a year, right? To do what you're trying to tell me. It wasn't worth it then. And I don't care. It's not going to be worth it what you offer me, right? And I was just like, no, I'm going to be a massage therapist. And you get laughed at. You're like, what? And you're just like, yeah. And I went to massage therapy school. Don't even use my degree. 10-month license. And I started getting these reviews because I didn't know how good I was. I had to listen to other people. I'm new to this game. And it's like, I had a headache for 8 years and now it's gone. Or like, I sat in my car and I was crying and called my husband and told him, I loved him. And I was like, yo, I just gave you a massage. Like, you know what I mean? In my head, I didn't understand the full impact of what it means to heal internally from some of the physical pain that we carry. Yeah. And after 10 months, I was like, I don't want to work for another corporate massage therapy, another corporate world. And man, within like a month coming out of school, I ended up buying my first massage therapy shop. It's a one little room shop. I have a hairstylist that works with me, and I opened up the R&R station. I bought it from a lovely friend, Rachel. It used to be called Rachel's Relaxation Station. I'm still friends with her to this day. And I started building my clientele. She gave me a list of them, and I've been doing that for 3 years now. And I do massage therapy, which I like to call a holistic care center, where you come in, and it's more than just a massage. It's more than just, hey, pay me. It's like, tell me about your life. Like, what do? You sit a lot? You're on a computer? Why? I was on a computer. That's stressful. I know where that comes from. You have a family, you have a daughter, you have a dog, you have, right? Everything that we do, everything that correlates in our body, in our life, sits in our mind and body.
Oh yeah.
And there's a huge connection between you feeling connected enough to open up to me with the issues you have, voicing it. Most of the time when they voice it, I see their whole body relax anyway, right?
Right.
And then I see the pain come out of their face because somebody listened and somebody cared and somebody had the empathy. And to say, hey, I haven't been there maybe exactly, but I know that pain, that deep, that darkness, right?
Right.
And then it's on me to find where they're holding it in their body and that release. And then when they leave, it's the last part, the whole thing, because once it comes out, what do we know? Something good has to come in.
Sure.
And it's like, hey, I love you, friend. If you need something, I'm here for you. Now you know where to go when you need someone. When you're in pain, when you have a headache, I'm here for you. And I take that in whole encompassing factor of what it means to heal holistically, without medications. Why? Because I've been on them.
Right.
It's a chasing game, without a bottle. Or, without reaching for sugar or caffeine or something that always says, my world's not right. What can I shove down my face? Or what can I go and do that may not be a positive outlet?
So they've done the studies, right? Where like even plants, where they yell at plants.
Yeah.
And then they speak love to plants.
Yeah.
And literally
one grows.
love grows and heals.
Huge.
And the other one kills,
Huge.
right?
Huge.
And that's something that, and we're going to keep telling the story about this shop, right? You got poured into by a lot of people, and you've always been a happy person.
Yeah.
Like, that's always remember you.
Yeah.
But you got poured into a lot of people. I mean, you've already said this, with several names from Methodist, right? Who poured into you as a person.
Hands down.
And and we talked about this, about people that hit those kind of darkness days, probably about 80, maybe 90% of them, dude, they're done. Like, that part of them will define them the rest of their life. They'll never get out of that darkness.
From one thing to the
Or if they do, it literally that darkness, that shadow has a hand on their leg. So as they walk away, it drags them back in and drags them back in. And then there's the most of them, they'll say, oh, I made it out. Or the ones that make it out, right? They'll be like, oh, I made it out. Oh, this is great. Yeah. And then they go, all right, I'm out. I'm going. And then there's just a small fraction, right? That make it out, turn around and say, hey, let me bring you back out too.
Huge.
And so that's something that, like, I mean, it just comes, and it's about to come up even more again, man. Yeah. But just in that, I mean, that you just feel that coming from you, that you just want to turn around and just love on people and bring them out of whatever darkness there is, because everybody's darkness is different.
And I try to do it in a quick manner. What I mean by that is that we sit in complacency for so long by dwelling over the things in the past. I went to one AA meeting, not saying AA is not for people, but I was like, wait a second, we're going to sit around every week and go, I'm an alcoholic and I did, and I'm going to tell you my story. And I'm like, whoa, how long do I have to do that for?
Right.
How can I change the words that I think and say quickly to rewire my brain to say, I do not drink, I am not an alcoholic, and I do not have addictions anymore? That's completely breaking the chain. I don't want to sit around and talk about it. Right. Do I? Yes. In moments like these, they thrive my heart and make me realize how humble I need to stay because of what I've been through. But I cannot sit around and don't you ever call me an alcoholic. I used to drink, but I do not anymore, right? Yeah. Because that word, those things. So when I speak to other people, how do you eliminate that doubt to help them rewire the thoughts they have, to have them move faster in the development of where they need to be?
Well, the truth is our past doesn't define us. It's in the past. You can't do a dang thing about it, right? You can't control. Like, you could have controlled it back there. And it's the other thing about you that I just love hearing, man, because you've been talking about, I look back and I saw I did this, right? Which is the quick up, I take responsibility, but I'm not going to let it define who I am today or tomorrow, but I'm going to use it for good, right? And pour into other people.
Absolutely.
Walk me how we get here. Because we're close to where the massage shop is. We are. But I'm not in your massage shop. I'm here at
so we're at PB&J, right? So now I'm on this great path, right? I have a beautiful wife, my daughter, and I'm doing massage, and I feel that I'm in a great place. But with me, there's always development. With me, there's always what's next. With me, there's always is there something else out there for me that can help? Well, one, help other people, right? Because if not, I'm just serving you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and grandma can do that better than me, right? So I'm sitting in my massage shop, and I remember this thought coming through my head, like, to stay humble, but I was like, anybody can open a business. There's 500 massage.
We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't mean
anyone can open a business. Now, after you open it, though, that's a whole different story.
So, but in my head, I'm like, there's 500 massage shops, there's 500 taco shops. You know, this is one business to the next. It's been done before, I guess, is my point, right?
Sure.
People can open businesses, and this one has been done before too.
Hey, somebody created a computer way before the computers we use today, right?
I mean, and I'm not inventing the peanut butter jelly sandwich, but my point is that I was sitting there and I'm like, yo, man, there's something else it's sitting in my chest and I couldn't figure it out. Yeah. So I was getting massages, doing yoga, and just kind of racking my brain, because massage can kind of drain you and pull from you a lot.
Well, yeah, because you're pouring in, and man, that's
and it's physical, and it's hours on end. You're in a dark room. It's quiet. People are coming to you with things and pain. And I was like, man, there's something else. Like, I need like a complete opposite of what I'm doing, right? And I needed to expedite my time. I had an hour massage in the morning, and then I'd have a 4-hour gap. By the time I got home, I had to come back. I have a massage in the afternoon. I was like, how do I expedite my time and not really kind of waste those moments where I could be, making money or going to do things, spending time with my family, right? Yeah. So, man, I remember I was sitting on a massage table and I was like, well, hold up. First and foremost, I turned to my wife one day and I was like, this is the story. I was like, hey, PB&J with Tay, rise with your day. Everyone loves peanut butter and jelly. And, you're crazy, blew me off. And then a week went by and she hit me up and I was like, I'm doing this.
No, hold on, because we talked about this and you even said it earlier. Let's give some little credit here. She told you that's crazy.
Yes.
And then she calls you back. So again, the vision, right? Because I mean, your passion and your vision, like your wife, the first one is like, what the hell are you talking about, right? Yeah. But then she's like, oh, I caught on to that vision. I caught on to that passion. And then she jumps in.
She jumps in and says yes. And she says, hey, there's 4 of them. And I was like, okay, this has been done before. Yeah. So I just start looking. San Antonio, peanut butter and jelly shop, none. Texas, peanut butter and jelly shop, none. And I'm like, wait a second. And the moment we hung that phone up, it was like I'd be like, you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I didn't care. And people would thought it was nuts. I was like, no, do you eat it? And everybody would just like this, they light up. Like it made you smile. And I was like, that's what I need. Yeah. I need to go from, oh, my body hurts, I'm in pain.
So wait a minute, you would walk around like HEB asking people?
No doubt, dude. My clients would come in and I'd be like, tell me what hurts. And they're like, my shoulders. I was like, you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
So you did some market research.
Market research all over town. It didn't matter if they were 80, if they were 40, if they were a kid, they would all just be like, yeah. And my mom used to make it and my grandma used to make it. And I'm like, tell me more. Yeah. And it was just like filling my heart every time I did it, right? So I was sitting on the massage, and this is how I knew if it was for me or not, right? It's sitting in my throat. I was getting a massage one day, and I had to make sure that this vision, if I was going to branch out and do something that's never been done, I had to make sure that it wasn't going to affect the 2 major parts in my life. Right. And I felt like massage was a gift that I found. Like, God was just like, here, man, you love people, right? And so that couldn't suffer. And then my family, obviously that was important to me. Yeah. Methodist fired me so I could spend time with my family, right? So I was like, okay, those 2 things cannot suffer while I start to do this journey that is, not really has been done before. And how was I going to develop it? And so I'm sitting on the massage table, and he's like working on me, and I was like, oh my God, I know where my massage shop is going to be. And he's like, whoa, sit tight. And I was like, no, I'm trying to get up off the table, right? Because I needed to go see where it was going to be. This is how I work, right? I'm like, it's in the same shopping center. It's right down the road. I thought it was going to be further down McCullough when I first saw it, because there was some places for lease there, right? So I was like, I got off the table. I called my wife. I was like, I know where our shop's going to be. And she's like, okay. I was like, I'm going to go see it now. She's like, come home. You're not going anywhere. Like, spend time with your family. And she always brings me down, right? Like, not brings me down, but she's like,
She balances you, brother.
come sit, stop moving. You're painting the house.
Get out. Guys like you and I need. It's like, hey, hold on.
Come sit and watch the show with me. Stop. And I was like, okay. So I came home, but of course at like 2 a.m, I'm like, I need to go see my shop. So I'm driving down McCullough and I'm driving by the shopping center. I look over and there's a sign that says for lease. And it was like, I just injected a pot of coffee in my throat and it was like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, it's in the same shopping center, God? And I was like, yes. I pulled over. I was like, I got the phone and I was about to call the landlord and then I realized it was 3 a.m, right? And I'm like, okay, put the phone down. So I'm sitting here, I'm trying, yeah, dude, it's too much.
Oh, it's not too much, brother.
It's too much.
I know, because it makes all sense when you come here. So keep on going.
Yeah, brother. So I go to, so now I'm like 3 a.m. I know where my shop's gonna be. And I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So I go over to the massage shop. I do some work over there. I had a couple clients that day. I called the landlord and I'm like, hey, you have a place for rent? She's like, yeah. And I came in here and I looked at it and I was like, this isn't it. Right?
It looked nothing like it looks right now, did it?
No, hands down. No,
okay.
It was just a blank slate, bad floors. And I'm like, what? And then I started looking and I was like, now mind you, I've never been in the restaurant business, nor do I even know what it entailed, but it was like, this is for you, go do it. And I'm running like wet behind the ears, full force, signing the contracts, dealing with the city.
Right.
You know, man, at one point, right? Oh man. So I go down to the city and he's like, hey man, here's what you need to do first. Cause I didn't know what to do. I was like, here's what you need to do first. Go to the health inspection, get an appointment with them. They're going to tell you what you need to do. Come see me afterwards. I'm like, cool. So I meet with him. I was like, I'm gonna take this wall down. I need to put a mop bucket sink in. I need to put a sink in here. And within 2 weeks, I did everything he told me I needed to do. So I go back to the guy for the city, right? And I was like, hey man, I put a mop bucket and sink in, I rewired this, I did that, I put in a sink, and he goes, did you want to come back and get the permits to do all that? And I was like, yo, you told me. And like, I start shaking, right? Because I'm thinking he's going to start fining me. I did everything that I already needed permits for. So he's like, look, man, relax. And I was like, look, I'm new to this. You told me to give it. He goes, wait a second. You already put in the mop bucket sink and you already did this and this and this, like in 2 or 3 weeks. Like at any point, they could have just knocked on the door and ticketed me $1,000 for doing construction I shouldn't have been doing. And I was like, I'm shaking. I put my books away and I was like, hey man, please. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I was almost in tears because I'm like, I'm about to pay out. I don't have no money, right? I did this broke. I'm about to pay out all these $1,000 in fines. He's like, look, pump the brakes. He's like, I'll get you your permits. Make sure you do an asbestos assessment, right? Yeah. He gives me my permits. Well, once I came over here, it was already done. So he just signed off on them and I have to give them back to him, right? That's how quickly I moved in this. And I knew the longer I waited, the more it was going to take.
And the more expensive it was going to be,
And the more expensive it was going to be. The rent comes up. You can't push it back. I had this wonderful family, the Schweinberg, her husband, they're now my business partners. He runs my food truck, but they were in here. I would be doing massages. They were putting in mop bucket sinks. They came along with me on this journey. And then at the end, they became a partner with me, which, man, I would do business with them with a handshake. Yeah. Just good, godly people. You know, at first I was like, why are they doing this with me? And what's the reason? You know, I would call her. She'd bring over chairs. She'd bring over this and that. 2 weeks before we opened, she was like, hey, I want to help you financially. And I want to be a partner. And I was like, that's why you're here. It was beautiful, man.
But she bought into how can you not? Dude, I'm all in on your vision, right? I mean, it's just, everybody wants to jump in, right?
Now that you see it, right? Because nobody sees it.
Yeah, but I see you, brother. I hadn't been in here yesterday. And I've seen a little bit of the pictures, and stuff. Yeah. But people want to be attached. Here's like a nugget, right, for the entrepreneurs. So we already got the one of everybody's got their story and everybody's got their grind, right? That one, golly, that's just amazing. Yeah. That part of your story. The other thing too is people will tag on to someone that has a strong mission, vision, and values that you can see it, you can touch it.
Yeah, I'm waiting to find that guy.
I can smell it a little bit.
I'm waiting to find that guy because I want to make money off him.
He's sitting right across from me, brother. That's why, it just pours out for that, right? And so, it's just, it's amazing. All right, so But then the other nugget, right? Because people don't think this, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I opened a business, right? We made that joke a little while ago. But then you just said something, and I've been there too. It's like the minute you sign those contracts, now you're pouring money in.
Yeah.
And unless you were born with a lot of money in your family,
I had nothing.
It's like, hey, it is all bleeding out, man. I hope I can figure out how to get it back up into the black before it literally just sinks me off.
And most people come up with the finances first, and they go like, my heart says, and I was like, my heart says, oh wait, I got no money. And I literally, most of the stuff you see in here, it was found on the side of the road, upcycled, redone.
Really?
Absolutely. It was calling people.
Oh, brother,
these are from the old bar I worked at.
Look at that, like to you and your story, like seriously,
old tile
you took something out which was old and broken and said, you're not broken, man. You've got a purpose.
My mom would call me, I got this. I found this on the side of the road. My mom was great. She would come over with all these old rustic tools, help me do this. And yeah, she sees the same vision I do. And it's funny, I gotta bring this up because my dad was like, tell him about me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll tell him about you. Yo, my dad was like, what are you talking about? Are you gonna make $1 off a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Until I was blue in the face. I could not I could not make this man understand what I was gonna do, right? Yeah. I'm like, no, Dad, it's gonna be this and that. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. How are you gonna make $1 off, right? People are gonna make that at home. And then my mom, man, she would be on the back end and she'd call me and she'd be like, I believe in you, son, go. Man, my mom breathes 1 ounce of you got this, done. And it was just like, and she's like, and when you need me, let me know. That's it. My mom, that's it, man. That's it. I get chills. That woman is the strongest woman I ever met. And when she breathes some kind of life into something, like at one point she stopped and she was like, yo, do you know what you're doing? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, there's a parking lot back here for you and your people. And like, she made me realize like, dang, you were like, it was just gonna be a small little cafe with a couple tables. And she's like, no, you need a dining area and you need this. And yeah, mom will stop me too and check me and be like, yeah. And finally my dad's like, I got to get that shirt that says I told you so. Man, I was like, I don't need that, Dad. Just like, here's a sandwich. I love you, man. But he was the old
Has he jumped on the bandwagon?
Of course he has. I mean, 3 spots on SA Live. Yeah, I mean, when I'm like, here, Dad. Yeah, man. We just got in a top food trucks to try in every major city. Like, man, I could never have imagined. Like, when you're standing in the place you wanted to be, like 2 years ago, I was literally in my garage with my business partner, and then we're gonna do jelly dripping from the ceiling. Like I remember that moment, and I have to stop and take a step back because I'm always trying to go this way and just be like, yo, you're standing in that moment that you really wanted 2 years ago. Soak it in for a minute, man, because it's you forget. Because everything comes at you so fast. And we got that purple cow. You read that book, huh? Yeah. Yeah, we got that purple cow. It's like I had no money for marketing and advertising. Elders Eats calls me. SA Live calls me. And Elders Eats, he actually, he hits me up. We open October. Am I interrupting? Or
no, keep on.
So Elders Eats hits me up. We open October. He hits me up in November. Now, mind you, at this point, I was still trying to choose what size bread I was going to pick, right? So he comes in, and I remember thinking, first off going, man, I hope I didn't insult the guy because I love to death. He's so kind. But I was like, can you introduce me to Guy Fieri? And he looked at me like, so then I started looking like, this guy is like huge, big time, right? And I was like, I was like, oh my gosh, he has like 2 million hits on some of his restaurants. And that moment I was like, lock in, son. You got no more time to joke around. You got no money for marketing and advertising. This is it. And he's like, walks back and he goes, give me the biggest sandwich you have. And at that point, I think we created the kitchen sink, which is like all the toppings. And I make this sandwich, and that whole segment with him was a blur. And you see me and I'm walking back and forth like, does he like it? People would joke too. He's like sitting there trying to eat, and there's parts he cuts because he looks back with his smile, and I'm screaming in his face like, you like it? And he had to cut me out of it, right? Because I didn't know.
I ain't cutting you out of all this, brother. Yeah. Like all that we get right here is staying in this.
Yeah, man. So he like cuts me out of parts of it, right? So he comes back, man. He puts the plate down, and he goes, I'm so glad you're not a bust. And I looked at him and I was like, what? And I go, you would leave if you didn't like it? Right? In my head, I'm like, Mikey, he likes it, right? I'm like, he does. So he's like, what else do you got? And in my head, I was like, I don't know. So I just started creating sandwiches, right? I was like, we got the Texan, 2 jalapeno jellies, and I was making them big, right? And he's like, I would leave. It's my reputation. I would leave if it's not good, right? And I was like, oh my gosh. So that day it airs. And that's when I watched that video and my knees started shaking. And I was like, there it is. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Texas toast, jalapeno jellies, crunchy bacon, everything's bigger in Texas. This is it. Until then, I was already open for a month. Until then, I was like, that's what we're doing here, guys, right? I didn't know. I literally thought it was.
But it was until you got to step out and then see the perspective of somebody
and
talking about
I had
you.
my
And you're
hand over
like,
my wife, and I'm like, my knees were shaking, and I started crying. I was like, yo, that's my shop. And that thing has seen 650,000 views now.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what happens, right? So then the news starts calling you, and they're like, hey, we were trending on Express News, like right when we opened. Did you hear this peanut butter and jelly shop? And I was like, Lord, I just want to make a sandwich. Why is it? Please stop putting me. Like SA Live wanted me to be on TV like the next week. I was crying, like, I don't want to be on TV. It's intense, man. I was like, I just want to make a sandwich and make people laugh. That's it. Yeah.
So let's talk about that culture piece. So there's two things. So I'll talk about culture, and I got one more question for you after that. But okay, the vision. Tell me about this, because I experience it, and we've hinted all around it, right? But when we walk in the door, what was your vision for what we would experience and how we would interact? Like, what are you providing? Because it ain't just a peanut butter sandwich.
It's not, man. You know, our motto is made with love, served with kindness.
Yeah.
Anybody can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at home. And we have customers who come in and say like, man, I tried to make it at home. I was like, I sprinkle love, right? They say you're not going to make it at home, right?
Right.
And so like, I need you to feel that when you walk in here, you're at home, that brings you back to that sandwich you had when grandma after school, and grandma would make you a sandwich and it just tasted better because she made it. Right. The first joke was I made this feel like a home because if I never sold a sandwich, I wanted to feel like I was at home. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, man, I got a 2-year contract. This might be my house, right? So I built it like that. But then it started to just get to a point where the old Corel plates, the mug of milk, you know, when someone asks for a cup of coffee, I'm like, grab you a mug that makes you feel at home, and I'll
that
pour
would
you
make me feel like home.
Yeah, right. So you have this this feeling that hugs you, that that it brings you back to childhood. Most of our reviews are about like the kindness and the service and the this, right?
Oh. And hey, hold on, we got to talk about the review thing.
Okay, yeah.
We pulled you up the other day, 5 stars, right?
Yeah.
Like 130 reviews or something like that. 170 reviews, but 5 stars.
Yeah, I'm humbled by it.
I mean, that's not just accidental. That is genuine, reaffirmed time and time again. I mean, we hadn't even walked in here yet. Yeah. And then when you walk in, I'm like, oh, I get it. Yeah, no, I get it.
And it's an encompassing package. I wanted to take the love and compassion and empathy I have with massage, and how do you develop this into a cookie cutter understanding that I'm not just serving a sandwich, I'm not just giving you a massage. How do you bring this into every business you open, right?
Yep.
And how do you, and it doesn't matter if it's a massage or a peanut butter and jelly shop. I wanted to show that that's what it does. And it literally starts with a rewiring of conversations. People walk in, I lost my job today, and I said, well, you needed a vacation, man. And good thing you walked in here because this sandwich is on me today, right? You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You don't need money. And I changed the conversation from woe is me, or I'm in pain, or life sucks, or I lost my friend and we used to eat peanut butter and jelly. And I'm like, your friend says hi. And they're in tears in front of me because I'm not just making you a sandwich. I want you to know that when you walk in here, there's love on a plate. And that this isn't just me serving a sandwich. This is a passion of mine to literally make you smile because I've lost a job. Yeah. When my baby was a month old. I've sat in the darkness. I fully am aware of what it means and the uncertainty we have that this world brings upon us sometimes. And maybe that's a little deep for a sandwich on a plate, but the sandwich is good too, by the way. Yeah. Outside of that, that's why when you walk in here, because I want to manifest that love into everybody who walks in here. It's tough. It's tough, right? Because everybody comes in with their own viewpoint. And sometimes I'm a little much and I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And with that, I try to take a step back and don't talk too much and let them be, and they're with their family, right? But when it comes down to it, people start asking questions, want to know the story, how does it work? But you will absolutely feel that this isn't just a sandwich and a sandwich shop, that this is somewhere you can come if you're just having a bad day.
The culture of that, like you literally cut it with a knife,
and just
when you walk in, I mean, the smell, right? I walked in the door, I was
coffee
like,
and bacon.
Oh man,
it's coffee. It's a trick.
And then you feel like the way when you enter it in there, and this is a podcast, so I wish I could show the video. Check them out on social media, right? But when you walk in, I mean, you just feel that, and then to interact with you, yeah, man, you're definitely going to feel that.
Thank you, man.
So it's amazing what you've got. Let me talk about two, because I don't want to miss this one. So, I mean, again, from a resiliency to building culture to the values, but you've got some pretty amazing stories about just the blessings that continue with COVID and like in the dark times of even being an entrepreneur where just, it's not coincident, right? It's God's hand that's come in and just kind of lifted you back up. So, tell me one of those stories. You pick it. Well, you told me some, but tell me one.
Let's just start with the simple fact is that we all were doing really well. I mean, the economy was great. I opened 4 months before, quote unquote, a pandemic. And I went from on track to hire people and grow to shut your business down and nobody's doing anything. And, to be honest, when people just want to try eat something and put food on the table, the last thing they're thinking is, let me try out that nostalgic peanut butter and jelly shop, right? So, I remember leaving here the day I closed my shop down because I went from, big dollar rings to one person walking in, $20 a day. You can't sustain that. And I grabbed all the food I had in my shop. And at this point, people didn't know what this virus was and what it was going to do. And we were all bracing for the worst. I grabbed all the food I had. I delivered it out to like neighbors and peanut butter. I had 20 jars of peanut butter and jelly on the shelf, right? So I delivered to homeless people, anyone I could give it to, right? And I was handing out peanut butter and jelly. And I turned around, I took a picture of this shop, and I said, if this is what they're saying it is, I won't be back here again, right? I mean, this is early on, people spraying themselves down with Lysol, like right when we were like really panicky about it. I won't be back in here again. And I'm like, took a picture, and I left. And about 3 weeks went by, I'm pacing around in my house, and and then after I kind of looked up, and like Target's open, Walmart's open, Chick-fil-A, they got a line around the door, like, wait, well, hold on. So I started doing kind of like my own, like, hitting up smaller shops saying, are you still open? What are you doing? Curbside to go? How do we maneuver through this? And I hit my business partner up. I said, people don't want to be inside. Let's launch a food truck. And he's like, I'm down. And Ricky Schweinsberg, he runs our food truck now. Shout out. His mom's my business partner. He gets his food truck, and man, he worked night and day to try to get this thing running. I hit up SA Live. I said, look, can you throw us a bone? They walk in and they do a shoot with us to launch our food truck, which was huge. I remember him walking in. I'm like, so tell me about other restaurants, like how they do it. And he's like, oh, this pandemic, it's rough. And I was like, okay, stop. I was like, we're not doing none of that here. None of that here. None of that. I was like, look, what you're going to hear from me is that everything's good. We're doing curbside to go. You're not going to get any woe is me. This pandemic is going to take me out. I mean, I was watching people like leaving this shopping center left and right. Yeah. And like, I just opened. And like, then you hear on the news, like 20-year-old,
But brother, life almost took you out a couple times, right? So, I mean, what's...
Yeah. What's next? I'm like, man, this world's, this is a playground. Like, what are you going to close down my PB&J shop? Like, I made it out of detox twice. Like that hurt. Like, this is just like...
But that's the resiliency, right?
Yeah, man.
That's the resiliency.
You get to this point where like, these things that used to be stressful in life, you're just like, man, I'm just going to go hug my daughter. Like, it's all better,
There you go.
But I was watching, businesses kind of shut down, and I don't want to take from the fact that, because I can be so upbeat about it, that it wasn't rough. I mean, there were multiple conversations with my wife. How long do we last? Right. There were many times I was sitting in this room on my knees, like, Lord, really? Like,
you brought me all the way here, and just take it away.
And my mom comes in sweeping in. God wouldn't bring you this far if He's going to drop you now. Just keep going, keep loving. And as an entrepreneur, you will go weeks without making $1, and then you can't let that one day define your success. And success is so tangible; it just kind of goes. Like, to me, success is being able to have my daughter hang with me while I'm at a PB&J shop, right? I'm successful. I don't have $1 in the bank, but I'm successful, right? So it really is. And then one day you're doing 500 in sales, and one day you're doing 20, and you're going, whoa, especially with an idea like this. Yeah. So, you have to really dictate success, where I'm 2 years into this game now. I made it through a pandemic. Right. Business is closing down left and right. You're still good, man. And you have to walk real slow in it. Yeah. Or you're going to make decisions that are going to really be detrimental. And when it comes to the financial part of it, it doesn't always come from your businesses. Yeah. I mean, there's days where you're just like, man, I've been working for weeks and I have no money. And then you get a check in the mail from somebody and you're like, wait, that was like, why did you, oh, I forgot I owed you this, $300. You're like, oh my God, what? Or my mom would just be like, here's $1,000. Like, thanks for helping me mow the yard the other day. And this is on us. And you're just like,
Can you tell the story about the guy that walked in?
Man, it was a day when I was at my wit's end, and we're just $20 days back to back to back. And we had no money in the bank, and how are we going to pay bills? And, I told my wife, I was like, pray, because I mean, when do we pull the plug on this? And that morning, I'm sitting in here, I'm kind of in tears, like literally in tears, like, man, I don't want to lose this. And this random guy at like 9:30 in the morning walks in, and big country guy, and he's like, hey, you're a peanut butter and jelly restaurant. I was like, yeah. He's like, I saw you on the news, and I wanted to see what kind of shop you made or what your shop was. And he looked down, he's like, this is it? And I was like, it's just me, man, a one-time show. He's like, look, I work for a sandwich factory, and we're making sandwiches for the hurricane relief people out, and we just ship thousands of sandwiches to these workers. And I said, well, I'm in, I want to help people, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, so I'll pay you $3 a sandwich. I said, dude, I'm a small shop here. I can't make a profit. Like $3 a sandwich, I'm losing money. We do bacon and bananas. And he's like, all right, here's what the sandwich looks like. It's Texas toast, jelly, and some granola. That's it. And I said, and he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, I'm going to drive an 18-wheeler, a cooler in the back of this shopping center. I'm going to drop it off for you. I'm going to give you all the product you need. Cases of peanut butter, cases of jelly, cases of granola. And I need you to pump me out thousands of sandwiches, and I'll pay you $2 a sandwich. And I said, what? He goes, get you an assembly line, call your friends, call your cousins, call your boys. Every sandwich you make, I'll pay you $2. And I was like, are you serious? And in 3 days, I made 3,000 sandwiches. And he paid me $6,000. I'd never seen that guy again. I was like, what? I told my wife, I was like, keep praying, girl, because whatever happens, man. I got my business partner in here. By the way, 3,000 sandwiches is a lot of sandwiches, man. And that's when you kind of look back and you're like, okay, God, okay.
So you prayed to God saying, God, if this isn't where I'm supposed to be at Methodist, let me know. Okay, I'm going to fire you. And then you said, God, I need money. He's like, it's not easy when you pray, and I'm going to give you what you need, but here we go. And you do it. Dude, that's phenomenal.
And prayer comes in all types of facets. I believe I spoke with one of your production people, and I said, we forget to ask.
Yep.
We go about our day-to-day business and we forget to ask.
And it says, ask and you shall receive.
What is prayer?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm humble enough to say, hey, wife, we're about to end this. Pray.
Right.
What's next? And if I'm supposed to be here, keep me here.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I stand.
By the way, remember he said yes, and he says it multiple times.
Yeah. So now it's just one of those. When you run in that platform, in that level of thinking, you got to make your prayers like here, right? Because he says, my plan for you is 10 times better. Like, this is not even what I imagined, right? So I'm like, oh, that's how it works. Okay, let me. You
were like, hey, God, can I make a couple of peanut butter sandwiches? He's like, no, hold on a second, I'm God.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and just elevate that to something you're not expecting, because I'm a big God.
Now I need to start praying for big time things.
Yeah.
Right? Let me start praying for the people I want to come into my life.
See, I knew you were going to say that. You didn't say big things for you just now. You said the people that come
this ain't
into my
fun
life.
when you do it by yourself.
No, it's not.
Because at the end of it all, I mean, what's left? It's that when at the end of it all, when I'm laying there and it's my last breath, what is there? What's left? Love. Somebody goes, man, that was a loving, caring guy. I remember him. He gave me a sandwich when I needed to be hungry, right? That's it. Nobody's going to remember that I had a lot of money in the bank, which I don't. Nobody's going to remember, that I opened 2 businesses. No, it really is. It's all just tangible, throwaway things that the next day we chase, that the next day it's gone. It's all just a number, a dollar amount, a piece of paper. And quite frankly, it means nothing. This table will break tomorrow and I have to get another one. And if you truly, truly, truly understand and reside on a level of understanding that there's nothing more than just love and compassion and empathy for somebody who's hurting, man, you're going to change so many different lives. And people have done it for me. I remember sitting in front of somebody who said, you're a massage therapist, go do it. You care enough to help people. And I was like, what? When I was like, okay, I'm going to massage therapy school. I don't know, because it hit me. It resided with me.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's super hard to run through this world that throws fluff at us on a daily basis. That most of this world, and sorry if I go.
No, preach it, brother.
Most of this world is just fluff. It's a new car. It's a new this. It's a new shoes. But none of it matters. None of it matters, because at the end of the day, all that really matters is that I connected with you after 20 years of not meeting with you because you thought you needed to speak with me. And I had breakfast with you yesterday.
Yeah.
And with that leads to more friendship. And when I left, I said, Matt, when you find somebody that needs my help, you tell them to call me.
Yep.
That's it. That's it. Because you're going to run across somebody in this next week that says, man, I can't let this bottle go. And you're going to say, I know exactly who you need to talk to.
Yep.
Why? Because somebody was there to lift us up.
Yep.
That 10%, 15% that is broken out of those things that we find so hard in life. Man, it truly stems from the fact that I mean, look at this past year. We were losing people. People are dying. Everybody's like, oh my gosh. But when it comes down to it, we all look back and what do we say? I love that dude. He was cool. He was nice. He was kind.
Yep.
That's it. That's it.
You got 5-star reviews that are about you and this love that you just accept.
It reminded me of my grandma. And those are the ones where I'm like, that's what I'm doing here. That's it, man.
So we're running low on time, but let me ask you one more question. So what's next, right? What do you see? So life is coming back into normal, right?
Yeah, we're settling.
You've gone through another, like all of us, right? A season. I wouldn't call it darkness, but a season. What do you think's next? Like, what's been on your heart? What do you think's next for you?
I'm very comfortable where I stand. In this business, in this platform. What's next is branching out, obviously growth. For my business partners, I owe it to them, and not that they are expecting it, but to grow with another location. My goal is to see a bunch of food trucks, right, at different jurisdictions within the city, because it's a food truck idea. It's quick, it's easy, it's out the door, and everybody loves peanut butter and jelly. But the growth, I'm getting to a point now that we're all coming back to business and seeing how things can open up. I'm getting to a point where I would love to see the financial aspects of it truly come to fruition, right?
Right.
And I'm settling in to our vision. The vision's there. The understanding of who we are is there. The news knows us. The city knows us. I've built what I needed to build so that the next person who comes in that I hire or train can now see this is it. From the moment you walk in, there's nothing that questions, this is what we are serving here, right? This is what we're doing here. And now that I've built that, because I didn't even know what it was going to be at the beginning, right? Right. Now that 2 years have settled in and I'm like, okay, this is who we are. I can speak about it so easily, so abruptly. I want to grow. I want to build. I want those people who are out there that see this passion, that have that understanding of what we're trying to build, to come to me. I mean, I've put it out there. Who wants a food truck? Who wants to be a part of a team? And I'd love to grow in an aspect that we won't lose what I speak about today.
Right.
And get so big that people will become a chain. I don't. It's never been my
but I think when we talk again in a couple of years, when you've got like all the food trucks and franchises,
and 5 chains, and I'm like, maybe I was wrong.
And then I'll be like, okay, see, it's easier when you're not sitting in the seat, right? Because what I know and what we saw at Methodist and what you see in Successful is these mission-driven, value-focused businesses, when the leadership wears it on their sleeves passionately. Again, people, man, they want to hook the chain to the train and say, let's go. And I pray for you, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen for you. In fact, I know it is. Yeah. That's what you're going to find, right? And there's challenges with that, right? Because now when there's somebody else and they walk in the door, they don't say it the exact way, right? Yeah. That produces new challenges. But your love and those values, you'll hire to those values, and people will still get that experience. They'll just be a little bit of those.
I hope it's pretty simple. I keep saying, I just waiting for that one person to walk through the door and be like, I like it. Here's some money. Let's grow. I mean, it'll happen that easy, probably, right?
It could. It could. Well, hey, brother, I appreciate you talking about this. I mean, when we got done yesterday, I called to the office. I was like, this was just like, there was a reason.
Yeah.
Like you even said on this, right? Because it has been like almost 20 years.
20, man.
Dang, we're old.
99, 2001, 2002.
Yeah, man, we're old.
It's great.
You look better than I do.
I do, man. I do.
Young.
I fast daily. I take I eat dirt
Your
for
skin's
breakfast.
good. I'm like, all right, I got wrinkles. My kids tell me I'm old and everything.
Comes from the soul, man.
But for 20 years, right? And we've passed all the time, man. I just had this, I gotta call my own.
Thank you, man.
And I know why.
Yeah.
I mean, your story is just uplifting. I'm excited the fact that we get to tell it. I'm excited the fact that you get to have it to be able to share with others. I love your story. I love you, brother, just because that story of love is just, I mean, I was almost in tears when we were talking yesterday. I don't know if you knew, like my eyes started watering. I was like, oh, dude, don't cry.
Yeah, it's allergies, not good, man.
Yeah, man. It must have been allergies.
But there's an absolute mutual respect for you. I've always looked up to you, whether you know it or not. I don't know what it is, man, but keep doing what you're doing, man. I do respect it, and bringing people in like this, keeping it raw and in a godly manner, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know what we're chasing here, right?
Awesome. Yeah, we do. Christ's name, man.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
That's it.
All right, brother. Well, this is the end of our episode here. We're excited to keep this going. Look for us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Who knows where else we're going to put this through. This episode, though, I can guarantee you're going to see it all over the place because that passion, you just can't help it. I mean, you just got to soak it up, man. You just got to soak it up. All right, brother. It's been great. Thank you so much again.
I appreciate you.